Today we're going over 7-day rotations because that's going to fit a majority of our high school and our college players. So the first thing we need to look at is we start off with game day. So the way that looks is we have the game, we have day one, day two, and we have day three, day four, obviously day five, day six, and then day seven rolls us back into game day. So this is one of the big things that people get wrong is when it comes to scheduling what they need to be doing, they are just relying on, okay, we have X amount of days rest, so we're good to throw. Let's go ahead and get our kid in there, or let's use this pitcher a whole bunch. I think that's one of the big issues that we have is there's no real structure to what is going on. So in season, obviously guys stop lifting a lot, which is not a good thing, or they get a little bit lazy on what their structure is going to look like. And that's what we want to go over in this is how do we maximize what it is we're going to be doing. So what should a general day look like? Obviously, every single day should involve, a activation, a throwing program, drills, some sort of post throw training, and then also your testing. So as everybody knows, we use arm care for our testing. So that would almost be put in there every single day. So we're just going to say, this is to make things easy on me. We're going to switch colors here. Activation is always A. Throwing program is going to be in green, along with our drills. And then our post throw training will be in yellow, and we'll just call that post throw. And then our testing is going to be part of that activation protocol. So everything should always go with activation and then testing every single day that we are getting on the field. So let's go ahead and throw that in. Activation, testing, activation, testing. This is just a general guideline. Obviously, mix and match for whatever it is you are going to need around what you're doing. This is going to be based around a starting pitcher. So we want to make sure that guys understand what it is they're doing. Then, after we get ourselves good and loose, we are then going to go into our throwing program. So then we have our throwing program. There's going to be some variation of this each day. And, this is not meant to be all inclusive, everything it is that we're doing, some form of drills each day, and we can vary that based on what it is we are looking to do. So again, we're going to change volume, load, frequency, intensity, and time in our throwing program. And we're going to go into that in a second here. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pitching in a game, whatever that practice day looks like, competition. And then we're going to get into our post throw testing. Again, we want to retest the arm. And then we're going to train the arm. So post throw, test, and train. And then from there, we get into if you have your weightlifting, whatever it may be, sprint work. And that's a general layout, bare minimum of what the day should kind of look like. So obviously, there's a lot of variations that can occur within that. One size does not fit all, which is why we're big on individualizing programs for everybody. But with that, this is what we want that to start to look like, is if we're starting the season out, and let's say this is our baseline. Let me actually draw this in a different spot here to give us a little more space. And let's say that this is where we're starting the season, right? This is start number one. And then we pitched in the game. So obviously we're going to be a little fatigued on our arm strength. From there, we want to really build that arm strength up. So that's where we're going to do our arm care custom training. We're going to lighten the throwing. That builds us into day three where we'd like to be back to our baseline. And then obviously on day four, we want to see a little bit of a gain where we're going to be throwing the bullpen. And then we're going to drop down again because we should be taxing the arm a little bit to day five. And then day six, Day 7, ideally, we've raised what it is we've done. And then again, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And then that brings us back into here. Whoops, wrong dot. Day 7. And then from there, we see another dip, right? We would want to see that dip back down because we're going to be building and losing strength as we do. So then we have our next day 1, day 2, back up here ideally on day 3. Then we would have our day 4. Oh, whoops, wrong way. My bad. We would have a drop in strength back down to day 4. And ideally, we're recovering day 5. Day 6, we're probably pretty similar. And then we have our 7 where we're stabilized. But what you're seeing is we want to increase the strength over the course of the season. Now, where most people are going wrong is they don't have a plan of what it is they're going to be doing. So we start out here. This is our baseline. And this is the more common thing that we see is we have day 1, they have the day 2, they have their day 3 because they're not managing and wave loading their throwing. We have our day 4, and then we throw our bullpen. We have our day 5, our day 6, and then our day 7. But then we repeat that cycle. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, 6, so on and so forth, where we're losing strength. Unless we're increasing our percent strength over the course of the year, we're going to end up injured. And that's what this cycle leads us into. Our best case scenario is we have poor performance. That's our best case. Our worst case in reality is this one here leads to injury. So the goal is that we're continually building strength over time. And these aren't perfect, examples, but they're good enough for the gist of what needs to be going on, which is why we have to have something that we're looking at to dial in our throwing programs day to day. So if you're not using something to test your strength, you don't know how to adjust your throwing programs, which is why we have all of our athletes testing arm strength, making sure that we're bouncing back. And if we're not, we're making those adjustments as we need to ensure we're gaining strength. So that's where we can adjust our throwing program daily, our drills daily. What does our post throw look like? Because if it's the same every single day, we're going to run into problems. And that's why we like to wave load our throwing. And then within that as well, on that 7 day, we don't want everything to be high effort. So if this is our, let's see here, let me redo this. If we have on here, let me move this over a little bit. Let's just say this is our throwing program right here. And this would be our effort. And if every day is going to be a high effort day, which is the big issue we see with younger players, we don't ever recover. If every day is a low effort day, then all of a sudden when we get into a game and we ask for effort, all of a sudden now we're going to have a big problem to where we don't have the body trained for what it's going to need to do. So in a nutshell, what this would look like is if here we have our effort scale, right? We're going to say effort. This would be a 1, this would be a 10 intensity, and then we have day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the game. So day 1 should be minimal to no effort, right? Day 2, we should build that up. Day 3, we may want to stabilize. Day 4, we're going to increase. Let me redo that. So we would have a slight raise up onto day 3. And then day 4 would be one of our higher effort days on a bullpen. And then we would drop back down, moderate, and then we would raise back up for the game. So that's not exactly how it needs to look. That's just a general example. Yours may be a moderate throw. Let me change the color so we can see it a little better. Based on your data, you may be here on day 1, down here on day 2. Day 3 may be your high effort day. Day 4 might be moderate. Day 5 may be a complete off day. Day 6 might be moderate. And then day 7, we're spiking. But you see how we're wave loading where the intensity and the effort is different each day? We can only really adjust that if we're testing with arm care. So we need to make sure we're testing daily. We want to test, adjust, train the arm. so we can recover better each day. So that's kind of a quick general overview of building out those throwing programs in season. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Be willing to make those adjustments. If you're not recovered, don't throw on short rest. I don't care what your governing agent says. Unless you are recovered, you're not ready to pitch.